This video serves as a tutorial on how to operate the remote experimental setup designed to study electrolysis in our laboratory. This is our setup. Highlighted here we have our PSU, the power supply unit, the distilled water container, the electrolyte container, the robotic arm, and the reaction container. In the reaction container we have our working electrode, counter electrode, and reference electrode, all sitting in the electrolyte solution. This builds upon the subjects already discussed in previous presentations. When first accessing the web platform, the user is greeted by a web interface which provides the necessary instructions in order to operate the experiment and has the following options. They can either register a new account or log in into an existing one. After logging in, the user has access to the Remote Laboratory tab and can proceed with carrying out the experiment by setting the values of different parameters and taking measurements. The Remote Laboratory tab has a suite of input boxes for varying the experimental parameters. Concentration sets the concentration of the electrolyte solution by mass. For example, if the user inputs 30%, the solution will consist of 30% electrolyte and 70% distilled water. Time sets the overall duration in seconds over the course of which the measurements will be taken. Voltage sets the electric potential in volts applied between the working electrode and the counter electrode. Distance sets the distance in millimeters between the working electrode and the reference electrode. And finally, the update interval sets the time interval in seconds between two consecutive measurements. This, together with the value in the time box, gives the number of measurements. For example, if the user inputs 5 in the time box and 0.5 in the update interval box, the experimental setup will register 10 data entries. Furthermore, on the Remote Laboratory tab, the user can watch a live video feed of the experiment. When the measurements are started using the Start button, the registered data will be displayed on the web page in table format, which provides the user with the time step, the voltage applied between the working and counter electrode, the voltage measured between the working and reference electrode, and the current passing through the solution. The user can run the experiment multiple times for different values of the parameters in order to get meaningful results and interpret the obtained data. At the end of the experiment, the user can download all of the measured data in CSV format using the Download Data button at the bottom of the page. Now, we will go over the steps required in order to successfully complete an experiment. First, the on-site operator of the laboratory must prepare the solution and home the robotic arm into working position. Next, the user of the remote interface must set the parameters to their desired values. For optimal results, the experiment can be carried out as such. The first option is having a set value for the concentration, the time, and the update interval. Afterwards, the operator should choose a value for the voltage applied between the working and counter electrode and take measurements for different distances between the working and reference electrode. Then, they can vary the voltage and repeat the measurements. Another way to do this experiment is by setting a voltage, time, and update interval, and then vary the concentration and the distance between the working and reference electrode. After the experiment is completed, the user should then download the data provided by the platform, plot the resulted points, interpret the results, and draw conclusions from this experiment.